Hi everyone, and welcome to part 8, I think we are now, of this Castle Forest colour along. Now first of all, you're going to have to bear with me through this. I have the most horrendous hay fever at the moment and there's absolutely nothing I can do about how my voice sounds. It keeps going all croaky and I'm all sniffed up and horrible, so please excuse me if I sound a little bit worse for wear. Okay, so last time I left you with one of these griffins completed. As you can see, I've done the other griffin. I did that off camera because I thought it'd save a little bit of time with us having to do quite a lot of different background elements on this. So don't worry, if you want to pause the video, go and do that griffin. All of the light areas and the dark areas are exactly the same. So it's basically just flipped over. So just do exactly the same thing as you did on this griffin to this one and you'll end up somewhere like this. Okay, so I am figuring that we should do the darker area around these flowers going up to lighter to the compass because that's what we've got here. So I think that'll look nice if it's light around the compass all the way around. So I'm going to start today by doing the darker areas around these flowers here. So I'll zoom in, move the book, there we go. So as usual, just to start you off, we've got our Prussian blue from the Polychromos set and we're doing a nice big thick layer of Prussian blue. Making sure that we are blending out nice and lightly toward the white of the page so that we've got a good foundation to blend the next colour into. I was quite worried about doing this area next to the flowers in the blue because the flowers are already blue, but don't forget that we are going to line it with black and make it really deep and dark, so I think these flowers are still going to pop. So we have our nice thick area of Prussian blue graduating out to the white of the paper. Don't worry about going over the stars at the moment, we can always paint those back in with some gold paint or gold pen later. And once you have that sort of thickness there, you can come in with your light ultramarine and do a nice light layer of that into the blue. Like that. So very light with this one because we are going to go over it with the white, but making sure that where those two colours meet here, it is nice and blended. Oh. So when you've got the two colours blended and it's going out into the white like that, come in with your white pencil and go all the way over the top of the light ultramarine that you just put down. So exactly the same as we've been doing. This just gives it sort of hazy, blurred look to it, and it burnishes it all out as well. So of course, once we've put our white down, that can often lighten and dull the colours that we've put down, so we need to just reinforce those. So I'm going back in here with the Prussian blue, making sure that we've still got a very nice deep colour on the very inner edge of these of this area. And then of course light ultramarine again, just to blend out that harsh line. And then the last step, just to heighten that contrast even more, is to come in with your black and do a nice, very narrow line just around all of the different elements, around the leaf. Just following where you've put that Prussian blue and giving it a bit more depth. Now that again looks pretty harsh, so we'll just take the Prussian blue and very lightly blend that out a little bit so it's not so in your face, that black. Okay, that looks about right. So there we are, that we're just going to do exactly the same on the other side. But before I go to that, I just want to fill in this little area of white here. So light ultramarine and then burnish with white. There we are. And don't forget, this will look completely different when you've put your white gel pen dots on it as well. That'll just tie it all in with everything we've done. It might look a bit different, a little bit darker than what we've done on the griffins, but that's just because we haven't got our white gel pen on there to sort of disguise it a little bit and tie it all in. So exactly the same on the other side. So I hope you've all had a good week. It's been a funny old week for me, actually. As you all know, it was my 30th birthday on Tuesday, the 29th. So almost a week ago. And I think I told you in the last video that my sister had given me a birthday gift of a night at a spa. And I was really looking forward to it, but I was quite worried about, you know, my little sister had been quite ill with a tummy bug, and I didn't want to sort of come out with that in case I'd caught it, you know, at the spa. So I was a bit worried, but everything was okay. I never caught the actual bug. And the spa was absolutely lovely. So me and my husband arrived there on the Monday and got checked in. The room was beautiful. It's set in a lovely old historical building where Henry VIII used to go, hopefully not to decapitate his wives, but yeah, lovely historical building. And the spa facilities were lovely. We went and had, well, I don't swim, I can't swim, so, but I still went in the pool, had a little bit of a float around, went in the sauna and the steam room, which is my idea of hell really, because I hate being too hot. But I did go in, and in the jacuzzi. So the spa was lovely, and then after the spa we went down for dinner. Dinner wasn't great, it was very sort of middle of the road, but you know, it was okay, it was nice. And then when I got back to my room after dinner, I had the most horrendous tummy ache. I don't know where it came from, and obviously I'm worried that I've got the bug at this point and it's just starting to come out. So I was a little bit anxious, but for the rest of the night I had these awful tummy cramps, and I was basically just lying in the bed watching TV for the rest of the night, which is all good, you know. It's like it's supposed to be relaxing at the end of the day, going away to a spa and a hotel, but yeah, it wasn't nice just to have that out of the blue, especially when you've gone away. And the next day I still felt a bit rough, so I didn't have the breakfast that was on offer. we basically just drove straight home. But obviously that was my birthday, so we took the kids to a local pub lunch dinner place. We all had a nice dinner. I got a cake brought out to me, a surprise cake, even though I did have an inkling that something was going on. Everyone around me aren't too brilliant liars, to be honest. So I did have an inkling something was going on. But yeah, the kids enjoyed it anyway, which is the main thing, but I still felt a bit rough. Yeah, so it's been, like I say, it's been a weird old week. I went to IKEA. When was it? Not yesterday, the day before, so Saturday? Yeah, Saturday. And felt okay. I walked there. It's about a mile away from my house. It's nice. It's a nice walk, actually, but just recently, and I know I've said before that I absolutely adore sunny weather. It really cheers me up, which it does. But just recently, we have had the most muggy, sticky, humid, very, very close heat. It's that kind of heat where the sky's completely cloudy, there's no actual sun, but it's just baking hot. And I think it must be low pressure or high pressure or something that makes your head sort of feel a bit compacted and just not nice at all. So even though it was a nice walk, it was a little bit, it felt like I was wading through treacle walking up there, and I was so tired as well. But anyway, we went for a walk around, and I had to meet this lady who contacted me. I'm part of a group on Facebook where if you can't find things in your local shop like Primark or Poundland and somebody else can find it, they'll get it and send it to you. So I met up with this lady who found a beautiful pusheen, which is like a little cute Japanese cat character, a pusheen duvet cover. And I really, really wanted it. So I met up with her in IKEA, but as I was waiting for her, I just came over really, really nauseous. My stomach went, first of all, which is usually the first sign of having a bug, that my stomach will go and then I'll feel sick and be sick. So my stomach went, I started feeling really, really sick, and then I started panicking because it just felt like the beginnings of a bug. But the lady turned up, that distracted me for a few minutes, went outside, waited for my husband to pick me up, but it was the closest I've been to throwing up in a long, long time. Luckily, I didn't. With my phobia, that would be like a nightmare for me. But it was horrible, really. I went to bed the rest of the day and just slept it off. But I don't know what it is just lately, just this week. I think it must be the atmosphere or the weather. Something has just messed me up, really. But I'm hoping that I'll feel better if the weather just, gives me a break, basically. It's not even like we're getting that sunshine to sort of perk you up. It's just cloudy, but really close. I think what we need is a massive clap of thunder, big thunderstorm, just to clear the air, because at the moment it is so close. But anyway, I'm not moaning about the weather. I know us Brits have a tendency to moan when it's raining, and then when it's sunny we moan it's too hot. So I'm trying not to moan. But yeah, it's been a weird old week. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, I actually woke up at 5 a.m. and I couldn't get back to sleep. And that is so unlike me to wake up early, because I'm a proper night owl. I'm not an early bird whatsoever. I feel ill if I wake up too early. I feel ill for the rest of the day. It just gives me a horrible sickly feeling. I just can't handle it, basically, for some reason. Anyway, I woke up at 5 and I was lying there and I thought, I'll go down and watch some TV, because I definitely wasn't going to go back to sleep. Went down and watched some TV. I think I watched Patrick Melrose. That's the new Sky drama with Benedict Cumberbatch that I'm watching at the moment. So I watched that, got to 6 o'clock, had some breakfast, got to 7 o'clock, and I was just sat there and nobody was going to be up for hours. And I knew that my fence panels in the back garden needed painting. So I decided to go out at 7 a.m. and paint all these fence panels. Ended up doing that. Finished at 9 a.m. when everyone woke up, and my husband was completely surprised that all the fence panels had been painted by 9 a.m. Because I'm not really into DIY, but I don't know. I think it was just because I didn't have anything else to do. I was bored, I was awake. But I just got on with it anyway, but it's ever so weird. Obviously, I felt absolutely horrendous for the rest of the day. My hay fever has really started this week. Sometimes it starts as early as March, but it started quite late this year, but it's come with a bang. I hope I don't sound like I'm moaning too much. I don't want this to be a really moany video. This is just my week so far. It's not been a great one. But yeah, hay fever has really kicked in this week. So yeah, not been fab. But I hope you've all had a good one. That's important. Let me know in the comments what you've been up to. So we had our pool out. We've got a 10-foot paddling pool type thing that you blow up and fill it with water. And we had that out, and then we realised that the bit of the ring around the top that you actually inflate had got some sort of hole in it somewhere. We could not find the hole for love nor money. So we ended up getting rid of that and buying the kids a new one. With it being so hot, they needed a pool, somewhere to cool off. So we did buy them a new one. And this new one, despite it being exactly the same brand, it wasn't the same model because it looks slightly different, but it's the same brand. For some reason, it couldn't cope with the gradient in our garden. Now, I know what you're going to say, pools aren't supposed to be on gradients, but the pool that we've had for the last 3 years, which was the one that we've just got rid of, it handled it okay. We haven't got a massive gradient, but there is a slight slope. But this pool that we used to have, it was absolutely fine. So I thought the new pool would be as well, especially with it being the same brand. But for some reason, it went all weird. Like, we filled it up with the water, but it was just completely leaning to one side with the slope. And we couldn't figure out for the life of us why that one would do it and the other one didn't. And as the days went on, it sort of just leaned and it just looked awful, really. And we couldn't send it back because we'd already chucked away all the boxes, the receipts, etc. You know, quite stupidly, really. But so we couldn't take it back. Anyway, it was just very worse for wear. It wasn't very good at all. Kids got in it and it started sloshing water over the side. So anyway, we put a knife through it, emptied it all, got rid of it. And the kids have been wanting to put up this tent that we bought a while ago, this big sort of four-person, two-room tent, three-room tent, whatever it is. So we decided to put that up yesterday, just to give them somewhere a little bit shady to cool off, somewhere to play and to chill out. So we've replaced the pool with a tent. So yeah, we've had a fun week this week. My little boy Max, we've been struggling with him a bit lately with his behaviour. Bit of background information. We're pretty sure that he is on the autistic spectrum somewhere. We've tried to get diagnoses in the past. He's 9 years old now, so pretty much since he was born, we've known that there was something different about him, bless him. And we've tried in the past, as I say, to get diagnosis, but it's very, very difficult in the UK. I know a lot of my followers are in the US, so you might not have the same sort of procedure that we do over here. But we've taken him to GP, we've seen paediatricians, and it just never seems to go anywhere. It's like you just hit brick walls, and it's very difficult to actually get a diagnosis, especially with sort of high-functioning autism, ASD, whatever you want to call it, because Max is very intelligent, he's very good at talking to people, he's very good with his communication, his social skills, so it's not like sort of what you would expect. So it's quite hard probably for someone to assess him when he's not in a meltdown and sort of figure out what's going on. We always thought, just by the way that he is, that he has something called PDA, which is parental demand avoidance, and it's on the spectrum, but it's not massively understood, accepted, whatever, by a lot of GPs. But the last time we took him to the paediatrician a few years ago, I gave the paediatrician a whole statement. I think I wrote like 6 pages from when Max was a baby, and everything that he'd displayed, all these different behaviours. And by the time the paediatrician had read through that, he actually said, without us prompting, that sounds like PDA. So to me, that's, you know, that's sort of confirmation of what we thought. But at the same time, it's not an official diagnosis. And he said that the only thing really you can do is go to parenting classes and learn how to deal with it. And I thought that was just ridiculous, because it's a neurological disorder, so to speak. You know, it's not going to be solved or whatever by parenting classes. But we went, but it was pretty useless, to be honest. And it was very much catered towards toddlers and young children who are just starting to display these behaviours, and how to sort of tackle that, but not with an older child. So we found ourselves at brick walls sort of every step of the way. And for a while now, he's actually not displayed too many of these behaviours. He's still sort of got them, but he's not been too bad, so to speak. I don't want to say the word bad as in he's bad, but his behaviours haven't been so heightened. But just lately, he seems to be sort of regressing into those behaviours. And what he basically does, I don't know if any of you can sort of help out with advice or whatever if you've got children that are the same. But he is very, he gets very meltdown, sort of freak out, crying, shouting, sort of mad, anger, sort of all these different things if things aren't done a certain way. So, for example, when he was younger, he had to be the first one to do everything. So if you got out of the car, let's say you got home from shopping and you got out of the car, if you got out of the car first, he would go absolutely mental, and you would have to, all of you, get back in the car and just do it, start again. That's his phrase, we need to start again. And if you didn't do it properly, if it wasn't to his right specification of how you should get in and out of the car, he'd freak out and you had to start again. And you had to start again so many times, it just depended on how, until he was satisfied that you did it right. Now, to some people that would sound like very spoiled, bratish type behaviour, but to be honest with you, we have been backwards and forwards with this. And I really, really believe that this is, it gets him really het up. It's like a panic attack almost. Even though it displays like sort of a temper tantrum, I'm sure that it actually really sort of affects him not being in control. But, you know, we've tried sort of the telling off, the reprimanding for, you know, how he comes across, because he does come across very sort of, get back in the car, you know, is shouting at you and stuff. And we've tried that, but then we've also tried to be very, very understanding. We've done the whole thing of going through it all again, basically pandering to him. What he wants, we'll do it. If it is a case of him being, you know, really traumatized by it, we've tried to just go along with it. So we have tried all these different things. When he was younger, it was a lot worse. He would be okay, so for example, in the morning, if you woke up first, he would wake up himself, see that you were awake, freak out, cry, start again. We'd all have to pretend to be asleep, and then he'd come in and wake us up. If you then went downstairs and made his breakfast, say for example you're making him some porridge and you put the spoon in the porridge, he would freak. He would dump it all in the bin. You'd have to make the porridge all over again, and he'd have to put the spoon in. And basically it was almost everything throughout the day had to be done to his exact specification. Now, as I say, it got better for a while. He wasn't so sort of manic with it. But just recently he started sort of displaying the tendencies again, and I don't really know why. It's come with anger this time for some reason. So he gets angry really quickly for no reason. For example, yesterday when we put this tent up, he was actually at my mum's. He was playing with my little sister. And my other son brought my little sister round to the house. I said, where's Max? He said he's stopping at Mama's for a bit because he wants to play there. So we started putting this tent up, and Max came home, saw that we'd put the tent up, and that Melissa, my sister, and my other son had seen it first, and he went absolutely berserk. You know, we spent ages putting this tent up in the hot weather. It really was a grueling task, because it's one of these with poles and strings and all sorts. And then he just comes home, and straight away he's just marred. He's upset. So it really does get you down sometimes. But we left him to it. I said, just let him have his little tantrum. He's on the grass, he's banging his fists on the grass, you know. And then after a little bit, I went out to him. I says, come on, Max, sit down, let's have a cuddle. And he's really, really het up, you know. He's crying, he can't really talk properly, you know how kids are. I says, come on, let's have a cuddle. We sat down, talking through it, and then he's crying, saying, I'm sorry, you've done all this for me and I'm awful. And I keep telling him every single day, you're so brilliant, Max, we love you so much. I keep trying to sort of boost his self-esteem, because he's always saying like, oh, I'm awful. And I don't know where he gets that from, because the amount of times we tell him how much we love him, how clever he is, you know, I don't know, it's very odd. But we did calm him down after a bit, and then he started playing nicely. But yeah, it is very, very challenging. And it, like I say, it's always start again. So he wanted the whole tent down to start again. Obviously that wasn't going to happen. But yeah, I mean, even when he was a baby, he cried all the time. So when he was little, like literally, you know, a newborn baby onwards, he would cry all the time. You could never console him. He was never content with anything. And we thought at first it was, you know, colic or something like that, but it wasn't. It turned out that that's just how he was. Some babies cry a lot. His milestones, he didn't hit them very early, or, you know, on time. He was quite late with his milestones, with his walking and his talking and stuff. So that was another sort of sign. But since then, he's come on leaps and bounds. You know, it's not like he's got speech and language problems or learning difficulties or anything. Last year he was top of the class. You know, his teacher actually told me he is the best, you know, the cleverest, the whatever, you know, he's doing the best, is the top of the class. So it's nothing like what you would imagine an autistic child to display. But these sort of meltdowns that he has, which he doesn't have at school, so they wouldn't see that, even though I've told them. It's quite difficult, I think, for someone to assess, because they're not here at the times when that happens. You know, and as much as I try and tell people, if they don't have the support of the school as well, saying, yes, he does display this in class, you're sort of seen as a bit maybe overreacting. So it's all quite difficult, really. This morning, it's first day back at school after the school holidays. They've been off for a week. Sorry, I'm not on camera again. I've just done all this around the flowers here with the Prussian blue. Sorry about that. Yeah, so this morning, time to go to school. Sometimes he's okay, sometimes he's not with going to school. It depends how he feels. And this morning, I did his hair for him because he had a haircut last week. So I put that all in with his gel and his wax and everything, how he likes it. But all of a sudden, he didn't like it, and he thought that everyone at school was going to make fun of him. And I was saying, Max, no, you know, no one's going to make fun of you. You've got a beautiful new haircut. You know, trying to make him feel better about it, but he was adamant. So he kept messing it up. And I said, okay, Max, just leave it then. But that's not good enough, really. If you just sort of say, okay, leave it, he'll carry on. It's like he wants a reaction, but then he doesn't want a reaction, you know, because if you do react to it, he'll just cry and cry more. So it's very difficult. But he did go to school this morning moaning, basically. Not upset, so to speak. He wasn't crying, but just not content. So we've had that this morning, but as I say, it's just recently that these behaviours have started to display again. He started doing the whole start again thing, and yeah, so I don't know what our next step is really. Paediatrician and GPs don't seem to know either what to do. And obviously, like I say, it's going to be difficult for, even if he does go in for an assessment, it's going to be difficult for them to assess him, because in a normal everyday situation he's fine. It's just these kind of things, that incidents that happen, all of a sudden will get him riled up. So I don't know. I feel like this has been a really sort of downtrodden video so far. I hope that you're not too affected by that. It's just sort of what we're going through at the minute. So hopefully, I mean, people keep saying he'll grow out of it, but he's been doing it for 9 years, so I really don't think he's going to grow out of it. And it's probably just how he is, and we have to sort of accept him how he is. But it is very hard, you know. It's very difficult as well when you've got more than one child not to compare. They always say you shouldn't compare, but it is difficult not to, and I try not to, but you just naturally do. So for my other son, Shane, he's 12 now, and he is what you would call the perfect. I hate saying it like this because it sounds like I'm saying I've got one perfect child and one awful child, and it's not like that whatsoever. But he was sleeping through at 10 weeks. He was always happy and content to play by himself. He hardly ever cried. Everything was brilliant. If you took him somewhere, he would be so grateful and love it, and it would be amazing, and so much happiness and harmony. And Max is literally chalk and cheese of that. We took him once to Skegness, so we took him to the seaside, which he used to love. But this particular day, no, he wouldn't get out the car. He was screaming, I hate it, I want to go home. He's crying his eyes out. He'd not even got out the car yet. We did manage to calm him down. He just, all of a sudden, he got a bucket and spade, and it was like a light switch. He was just fine. But, you know, it is difficult to compare when you've had one child that's so completely different. You think, well, I've not done anything different myself, so it's just how each individual child is, basically. But yes, he's 9, and I'm hoping as he sort of gets into that, not teenagery phase, but pre-teenagery phase, that he might just sort of level out and chill out a little bit. I'm hoping. But yeah, it would be nice to have a diagnosis for him, just so that we could put a label to it. I don't like labels, you know, it's not like it's going to make him any better to have a label. But I think if we knew exactly what it was and how it was affecting him, we'd be able to understand and help him more. And obviously we could research it, we could see techniques to help, you know. So it would be brilliant to have a diagnosis. The school that he's at the moment aren't great. You know, in the past we've made our feelings clear, we've told them about his behaviours, but because he doesn't display a lot of them at school, sometimes he does. He doesn't have the meltdowns and stuff, but he can be quite naughty, so he won't do his work. He'll just mess about and stuff like that. He finds it very difficult to just sit and listen. So the teacher and us at home as well will have to tell him a million times to do something before he'll listen. So he does display those kind of behaviours, but not the big meltdowns, not the big start-agains. So the school, they're not really bothered, to be honest. But I don't want to move him out of this school because I think he's settled in now, he knows everybody, and I think going to another school might kickstart things again. So, yeah, we're in a bit of a situation, really. But we've managed with it for 9 years. We will carry on managing with it. It would just be nice to have that diagnosis, have that support, really. But it's very difficult in the UK. You do hit a lot of brick walls. We'd love to go private, obviously, but that's going to cost a pretty penny that we do not have. So yeah, bless him. I love him to bits. Oh, he's such a sweet boy, and I know that I'm sort of telling you all about this sort of aggravating side to him, but he is the sweetest little boy. He really cares about how other people feel. all he wants to do is cuddle. You know, it's lovely. He's so lovely. I just wish that he didn't feel this way, you know, about things. I wish that things didn't affect him so much. You know, silly, everyday, normal things that like opening doors and the first one to put the spoon in the porridge. You know, I wish that these things didn't affect him as they do. But I don't know if any of you have got any, if you've related to this in any way with your children or children that you know, and if you can give me any advice, that would be great. But yeah, so I'm just going around all these flowers with the black. Just outlining, as I say, where we've put that Prussian blue just to deepen it a little bit. You know the crack by now. There we go, so we've got all of our outline done. Am I still on camera? Yes. Sometimes I just start working on another bit of the page without remembering to move the camera, so just have to keep checking. So just blending the black out with the Prussian blue now. I hope that you're all liking the way that this page is going. I know that it's time consuming and there is a lot to do, a lot of little bits to go around. But I hope you'll agree that it looks really quite something. I don't know whether you've seen my latest video before this one, posted it yesterday. It's how to colour skin. So I've done a tutorial, it's an hour long, but don't worry, there's 4 skin tones included in that hour, it's not just one. It's an hour long and it explains step by step how to colour skin. So we've got fair skin, tan skin, pinky peachy skin and dark skin. Now, I am not the best at colouring skin, but I've had requests from so many people so many times. I thought I better just pull my socks up and try and get a tutorial done for you guys. But as you know, I like to do things very simply, very easily. I don't like things to be over-engineered, you know what I mean? So, but this is quite hard to do skin tones without it taking a lot of steps. But I think hopefully I have managed to show you guys how to do skin tones quite easily. It is time consuming because you need to layer. There's no way of getting around that. With skin tones, you need to use lots of light layers. And I mean, the skin tones that I've done, they're not sort of realistic skin tones, you know, like if you wanted to colour skin to look like an actual real skin, so you'd need greens, you'd need pinks, you'd need blues as well in skin, you know, realistic human skin. It's not that, it's basically, you know, the books like Hannah Lynn, sort of characters cartoony type portraits. It's a tutorial for how to colour that kind of skin. So it just gives you a bit more dimension than just colouring it in completely in peach or cream. So it does give you a bit of dimension, but it's not sort of very hyper realistic. But it is for beginners, so hopefully you guys will find that useful. If you do want to learn how to colour skin a little bit more realistically, get the Colourist Special Effects book by Helen Elliston. And she talks you through it step by step, how to do it a little bit more realistic. Right, okay, so I've got all of my layers on there now, I think. Just going to put a bit more white in here just to burnish it a bit more. And I might just do a little bit more of the light ultramarine. I love polychromos because you can just layer them a million times over. Just realised that I've not actually gone over this flower, so I'll just do that quickly. I'll start with the black this time. There we go. So I'm pretty happy with that. Might just bring a bit more of this light ultramarine in over here. And over this side as well. Excuse me sniffing, it's the hay fever. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty good, I think. What time are we on now? We're on 41 minutes. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit more just on the edges here, and then we'll leave it for this time. So let's start with the darkest colour going around this sort of, I don't know, what would you call it? It's not a fleur-de-lis, but it's very filigree type thing. So we'll go around here with our Prussian blue. Thank you for all the birthday wishes as well. I forgot to say that. I've had a lot of comments and messages from people wishing me a happy birthday. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it. It's so nice to get these messages from people I don't know. So thank you for that. Also, on a good note, I've actually reached 10,000 subscribers on YouTube this week, which is incredible, and I'm so excited about it. I wish that you got some sort of recognition thing from YouTube. I know that when you get 100,000, or is it 1 million? I think it might be 1 million subscribers, they actually send you this plaque that you can put up on the wall. I would love one of those. I think 10,000 is a big number. They should do it for 10,000, I think. So light ultramarine. So yeah, every single person that subscribes to this channel is very, very much appreciated, and I'm so happy that you're all here and loving what I'm doing. Basically, I'm always worried that I'm not doing what you want to see, or it's not good enough, but it's really nice to know that you're all happy with what I'm doing. Okay, so we've got just the white burnishing to do now. By the way, everybody who has tagged me in their work in progress of this page, whether that be on Instagram, Twitter or Facebook, I am always blown away by every single post I get tagged in. You're doing so amazingly well, and I love to see that you're getting good results that you're actually happy with. So please do continue to keep tagging me in your works in progress. I love to see each and every single one of them, and I do try and comment, even if it's just a few words, on every single one. So please keep tagging me. I'm not sure whether I've told you about this, but I now have a new Facebook group called Colour with Claire Community Group, So I've still got my page, but this group is where all of you guys can sit and chat. You can post any pages that you've coloured using any of my techniques or tutorials on there. I'll always get back to you. I'll always come and have a chat if I can. And yeah, basically it's just somewhere a little bit more free for you guys to talk. And, you know, ask questions. If you need to ask me a question about something, you can always comment here on YouTube. I do keep tabs on pretty much everywhere. But if you just wanted to maybe ask someone else something, or I don't know, it's just a nice little area for you to go. And everybody's lovely. It doesn't have too many members at the moment, but yeah, go and join. It's Colour with Claire community group on Facebook. So we've done this side, let's do the other side, and then I think we're pretty much done with this video today. We've done quite a lot actually. So yeah, just looking at it. And then we've got to put our white gel pen dots in. Oops, gone a bit far with that there. So what films have I been watching this week? I watched Bone Tomahawk with Kurt Russell. It was all right. It was basically, if you haven't seen it, it's like a Western / cannibal film, which sounds a bit weird. It's not a horror. I don't really know what I'd describe it as, to be honest. It's not scary, but it does have scenes of gore and stuff like that. So Kurt Russell is the sheriff, set in the old Wild West. He's the sheriff of the town, and basically they're not Indians, but they sort of look a little bit similar, and they live in the mountains, and they're cannibals. And they come and kidnap some of the residents of the village, and the sheriff and a few others, they go off into the mountains to try and rescue them. And they find them, lots of quite disgusting scenes ensue, but they do eventually, spoilers, manage to get one of the people back who was taken, and they get rid of all of the cannibal tribe anyway. But yeah, it was all right. I won't watch it again. What else have I been watching? The Patrick Melrose that I mentioned earlier. Westworld as well. Got a bit of a Western thing going on at the moment. Yeah, Westworld, I've been watching the new series of that. Bringing in the black now. I think I forgot to do that on the other side, so I'll have to do that in a minute. We'll just pop in this side and do this bit of black. So yeah, sorry for this part being a little bit late. I know I usually do one a week, but that's because of the kids being off school. I've not really had a lot of time, but hopefully this part has been worth waiting for. And again, please do post your pictures, tag me in them anywhere you want. Okay, so just trying to make sure that both sides look kind of equal. There's a little bit more white on the other side, so I'm just adding that in. I feel like this needs to be darker in the middle here. Just comparing this bottom edge with this, I don't think it's as dark or it's not as thick. So I do think I need to maybe thicken this up a little bit. That's a bit better, I think. Okay, so all we need to do now is add in our dots. If you're doing this bit by bit like I am, or you can wait till the end and do all the dots at the same time. But I like to sort of finish each video with it complete so far, if you know what I mean. Let's do a little star down there. Okay, let's zoom out and see what we've done today, full screen. I think that's looking absolutely beautiful so far. I hope that you agree, and I will see you on the next part, part 9. Thank you so much for colouring along with me. See you next time.